So when UUCLC began the building process for our church, our aspirations for what our home could be and should be were well expressed in a vision statement that we created to guide us. And I want to read one statement from that vision statement to you. This statement says, to the extent possible, it, meaning our building, will be a green, sustainable, energy efficient, low maintenance building and a model for the community. While we were building and planning our building, we always wanted solar to be a part of it. But at the time, so we did consider solar, but a decision was made to postpone, mainly because of the cost at the time. We just didn't feel we had enough money to complete the building and do solar at the same time. But we had an implicit promise that we made to ourselves that we would someday put in solar. The board believes, on the advice of the Solar Task Force Committee, and that task force was consisted of Barbara Morrow, who kind of spearheaded our effort at the beginning, and Christina and Carl Skiles and me. That task force and the board believes that now is the right time to do solar. And that's what this meeting tonight is about. Christina Wilkins has done what she has always does so well, and that is to work out the details and come up with an agreement with our solar contractor. And that is what we want the folks here to listen to tonight and consider and hopefully approve as we go forward with our solar program. So Christina, please.
Okay, thank you, Russ. And I'm going to see if I can get, okay, has my slide come up for everyone? If you'll just wave your hand. Thank you. Thank you. I thought it would be better if you had something nice to look at instead of me. So I'm just going to talk in the background and let you know the information that you need in order to make an informed decision. What I decided was that it was important that everyone understand that this didn't just come out of nowhere, where some salesman came to us and said, oh, I've got a deal for you. And we said, okay, let's go do it. Not at all. This project began back in July of last year. And that was when UUCLC joined the newly formed Lake County Solar Co-op. And we joined it, we sponsored it, and this co-op is provided by an organization called Solar United Neighbors, which is a nonprofit organization that works not only in Florida, but nationwide, and represents the needs and interests of solar owners and supporters. So that was the first step. And thanks to Barbara Morrow, who actually brought this to us, and then we moved forward with it. In August, the board appointed a UUCLC Solar Co-op Task Force, which Russ mentioned, and it also included one other individual, and that's Betty Emery. And our purpose was to assess our building and grounds suitability for a solar power system. And that's a big responsibility, but we have taken it very seriously. In September, the co-op itself expanded to include not only Lake County, but it added in Sumter County too. And during that month, the co-op sent out an in-depth, what's known as an RFP, or a request for proposal, which is a process that involves soliciting bids based on specifications from solar installers in the area. And this is what the Solar United Neighbors brings to the table, is they know how to put together this RFP and to get bids from many different vendors so that we get the best deal possible at the highest quality for those who are members of the co-op. Then in October, Optimus Solar was selected as the vendor for the Lake Sumter County Co-op. And Optimus Solar is located in Mount Dora, coincidentally. They design, plan, and install solar energy systems. And we had our first on-site meeting with them, at which time the president of Optimus presented us with his initial proposal after having visited the building a couple of times, and I showed him around and he took information and came up with an initial proposal. At the same time, I needed to become more proficient and knowledgeable about solar. So I joined the solar co-op and asked the vendor if he would come and give me a proposal on my home. And part of the reason I did that was I wanted to find out how the process worked and how he presented himself, and whether I moved forward with the proposal or not. It was my way of understanding his business practices and what was involved. Then in November, on the recommendation of Ben Paulin, president of Optimus Solar, he recommended that we have our solar system pre-engineered in the hopes of lowering his initial proposal cost estimate, which initially was $60,000 for a ground-mounted system. Now, we talked, the Solar Co-op Committee from UUCLC met with Ben, and we talked about the pros and cons of having a roof-mounted system versus a ground-mounted system. And one of Carl Skiles' concerns was that our metal roof was not necessarily engineered to assume that there would be additional weight and friction from a solar array placed on top of our metal roof. And even just as importantly, our metal roof faces east-west instead of north-south, because where you want to put your solar panels is facing south. So right away, we were going to be losing some energy efficiency if we went down the roof-mounted system direction. So we all agreed that a ground mount system was going to give us the highest efficiency. In December, after we had approved, the board had approved going forward with the pre-engineering study. That study was in process during December, and there were a number of visits out to the building, which I coordinated so that the engineer and Ben and electricians could make their determination. Finally, after the holidays, the engineering plans were completed. And then Ben went back to the drawing boards because he had been able to come down before the engineering information was available, down to $55,200 due to the size of our project and the location being close to his home office, from the $60,000. But that was still more than we were comfortable with. So he went ahead and took into account the fact that he now knew from an electrical engineering standpoint what the actual costs were going to be, instead of estimating what they would be, which is normally what happens in a proposal like this. So we received the final proposal, and it was supported by the task force in March and presented to the board for approval. Now, in the process of putting together his third and final proposal, a number of discussions had ensued about how were we going to finance this project. And of course, there are three ways to do it. We could pay it in cash, upfront in full. We could get a loan from a bank or members, just as we have done in the past. Or there's a third option, which I thought was really the best avenue for us to pursue, and that's called a lease purchase agreement. And what happens is we will, Optimus Solar will actually finance the installation of the solar system. We will pay them back over a period of 5 years on a monthly basis. We will get all the benefits of the solar as it's in operation, which reduces our electric utility bill. And then at the end of the 5-year period, when we have paid back everything that it costs to build, the ownership is turned over to us. And one of the reasons that that's a great way to do it is because right now there is a federal energy tax credit available to homeowners and for-profit corporations who invest in energy efficient systems. We are a nonprofit, so we don't qualify for a 26% tax credit. But if we go the lease purchase route, the initial owner of the system is going to be Optimus Solar, and they are a for-profit company. They will be able to utilize the federal tax credit. And our agreement has been that they will split that tax credit with us 50-50. So that goes toward reducing the overall cost of the project because we're able to utilize their for-profit tax status, even though we are a nonprofit. So now the proposal was sent to the board, they approved it, and we come to the congregation because we need your approval because we are de facto incurring a debt liability in the form of a long-term lease. And our bylaws state that if we do that, the congregation needs to approve. Now, what I want to do is show you, and I'm going to pull it up on the screen now, if this will work for me, and bear with me. Okay. This is the final summary of their proposal to us.
We're not seeing it yet.
All right, thank you for letting me know that. All right, let me get rid of, let's see. I have to get rid of the other one, I think is my problem. Let's try this. How's that?
I
You
think
might try stop screen share and then come back to a screen share when you've got your other slide up.
Okay,
This is still the old slide.
all right, one moment. I'm not as proficient at this as I would like to be. Your screen sharing is paused. Stop share. Okay. One moment. No. All right, I'm going to have to go out again, so bear with me, please. Okay. Let's see. Files. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. You'll recall that the second proposal that Optimus came back to us with was for $55,200 for a 24 kilowatt system. His revised proposal, after including the tax credit and also adding in some additional requirements that we asked of him, which had to do with upgraded, more efficient solar panels. And I asked that a 6-foot chain link fence be installed at his, as part of the project around the solar array, because I didn't want there to be any concern about vandalism to the solar panels, which would be mounted on the ground. In addition, I wanted it to be a little more attractive than just a chain link fence. So it includes podocarpus plants that will be installed around the fence on the exterior. So we will have an attractive solar array that is well secured in addition to a state-of-the-art one. Now, you can see that you're not aware of this, but I am, as is the committee. He upgraded the solar panels to tier 1. He also upgraded the inverter technology to have built-in tracking capability, which allows each inverter, which is tied into a group of solar panels, to tell you if they are all properly working so they can be monitored. And this is a turnkey project where Optimus, as part of the proposal, pays all the costs for the lease preparation and compliance. They pay for the permitting, any other documentation that's required other than our outside third-party legal review of documents that are presented to us, which we will of course do. And in order to achieve this lower cost of $49,400, we would be using this lease purchase agreement. Now, you're probably wondering, all right, well, who's going to maintain this system? And the answer is Optimus Solar warranties their projects for a period of 10 years. And they include the maintenance, which frankly, there's very little, if any, on the system once it's installed. They are designed to obviously work in the outdoors. And the fact that we are protecting the solar array with that fencing gives me even more comfort that we won't have any mechanical problems. But if we do, Optimus takes care of those repairs. So there's the standard 10-year co-op warranty, servicing by Optimus. We are projected to save on a monthly basis $358, and that's before inflation for higher utility costs over a 25-year period, because that's the estimated useful life of the solar panels, 25 years. Our monthly lease payment will be $860 a month for 5 years. And Ben has offered that after we've made the first 57 of the 61 payments, or I should say 60 payments, that he will forgive the final 3 payments, which brings the net cost of the system down to the $49,400. He's not charging us any interest, and the payments are fixed for 5 years. Frankly, from a financing standpoint, and having been a commercial banker for a number of years, this is a sweet deal. That's the bottom line on the proposal, is we are going, out of pocket, it's going to cost us about $509 a month for 5 years net. And this is net of our savings because of utilizing solar and our electric bill going down. After 5 years, we get all the savings. And we will do so then for the next 20 years. The total savings over that 20-year period, it approaches $100,000. I'm ready for any questions that anybody may have. It's a complex process, and I realize that I've thrown a lot of information out at you, but this is a wonderful opportunity at a very competitive price, much below the market because of the Lake Sumter Co-op's bidding process on the RFP. We won't be seeing a price like this if we try to go out into the marketplace ourselves. Oh, and I would like to mention one thing, and that is one of Carl Skiles, a member of our solar committee, one of his concerns was the project does not include a battery backup. And Carl's concern was, well, gee, if it's an overcast or stormy day or at night when the building is operating, the solar won't be providing us any power, and we won't have a battery backup to rely on to provide that power. Well, the fact of the matter is we are still connected to Duke Energy. And there are going to be times of the day and days of the week when we will be utilizing Duke Energy's services. But the cost of a storage battery is equal to the total cost of the system right now. And that is not a cost-effective investment. We know that the cost of solar panels has come down dramatically over the last 10 years and continues to drop. Battery storage is also beginning to come down in price, primarily because the automotive industry has ramped up and put new companies in business who are manufacturing batteries. And the more electric cars that go out onto the roads, probably the lower the cost of battery storage. So we think that down the road, we will be able to purchase the storage and add it on to our system at a much reduced cost. But we don't think it's the right thing to do right now. So I could talk on and on, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to open it up for questions. And
Can you,
anybody want to raise their hand?
can you stop the screen so we can see everybody?
Yeah, let's do that. Stop sharing. And let's get that gallery view going and a full screen.
Wendy has a question.
Wendy, please.
You mentioned 20 years. I wasn't sure whether that's the lifespan of the equipment or what you were talking about, 20 years.
Well, what I said was that after the first 5 years, when we have finished paying off the system, then we still have another 20 years to go because the useful life of the equipment is 25 years. So we will get 20 years of free benefit, complete benefit to us on the electric bill savings. Lois.
Lois, unmute. There you
Yeah,
go.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think, and I so appreciate the time and energy for this wonderful proposal. It is more of an interior congregational management system that I am concerned about. Once this contract is approved, I'm going to put that in the positive, Christina, then who is responsible for kind of overseeing or maintaining the integrity of the contracts?
Well, it seems to me that it's the treasurer and the board who are responsible for managing these financial obligations of UUCLC.
If there is a default on our part, and I'm just putting on worst case scenarios, because my life has been full of worst case scenarios. Suppose we breach the contract and there is suit and liability. How is that going to be managed? Is that managed by the board? Is there funds that would cover Or is there a policy that would cover any kind of a conflict?
Policy, or are you worried more about what would happen if we defaulted on the lease?
Yes.
If we defaulted on the lease, Optimus Solar could take us to court for specific performance. And if we did not get that resolved, I suspect they would come and take the equipment away because it technically belongs to them.
Okay, there's no way personally that anybody that's serving on the board could be financially obligated. It would be, it's part of our church's obligation.
It is our church's obligation. That's correct.
Thank you for the clarification.
Absolutely.
Barbara Merrill has her hand up too.
Barbara,
Barbara, you're muted.
Hi, sorry, couldn't unmute. Two things, just in case anybody is not watching the chat. I did point out, we've been negotiating in good faith with Optimus Solar, but all of this is dependent on Duke Energy approving it. There is no reason to think they won't, but it's something to be considered. That, you know, we might all vote yes tonight, and there's a potential it may not happen, but it's expected that it would not be a problem. The second thing, when Christine was talking about the battery storage, there is such a thing called net metering, which means as our panels are producing this energy, if any energy that they're producing more than what we're using at the time, it goes back onto the grid. And then when we need energy, we pull from that grid. And the system is designed theoretically to balance us out at the end of the month or the year or whatever. From my personal experience, I did go through this process with the co-op, and I can say that my last month's bill, I received a $27 credit. So even in the evenings and the rainy days, during the sunny times, I was producing enough energy to counterbalance that. So hopefully the same would happen with us. That's it.
okay. Val, I'm going to start in the upper corner there.
What about insurance? What if there's some horrible storm or something like that? Are we purchasing insurance for this, or is Optimus Solar, or what?
I checked with our insurance company, Church Mutual, and explained to them that it would be a lease purchase agreement and what the amount was. And the incremental premium would be $183 a year to our policy. And that would include a $1,000 deductible.
Thank you.
Bernie,
Where will this be?
when?
Where?
I had a picture and I didn't get to that part. It will be due west of our building. If you are standing in the kitchen and you look out the side door of the kitchen and you look over all of the air conditioning units and the podocarpus, there's a big open field out there before you get to David Walker Drive. And that's where the 65 panels would be installed on posts in concrete in the ground. It is a beautiful spot for having, there's absolutely nothing blocking the sun from getting to those panels. And it's a direct shot to our mechanical room where it all gets connected into our incoming power. Jane?
I think it's always good to think about, the worst case scenario, as Lois just said. Make sure our insurance covers vandalism too, because that close to the highway, someone, teenagers might come in and do it. And if the contract goes south for some reason, that maybe the panels don't work right and we're not, getting electricity from them, what happens? So I hope, and maybe Christina, you are an attorney, but I hope someone who is licensed to practice in Florida will look over the contract carefully and just keep thinking about, okay, the worst case scenario. Another thing might be, what if Duke Energy decides not to give us any credit for the electric at some point? Because I know the utilities are fighting tooth and nail. Maybe we have a contract with Duke Energy that we wouldn't get stuck, I'm
Well-
very much in favor of this. I just think if we have an attorney look at the contract and make sure most of these contingencies are taken care of.
Absolutely. That was completely the committee's intention and the board's intention. This will not go forward without complete legal review and satisfactory legal review. And as far as Duke Energy, there is a Florida statute, this net metering, and Florida is one of the states that requires the public utility companies to credit us back when we produce excess energy at the same rate that they were charging us when we were using energy at that time of day. So it's a 1-for-1 equal exchange.
Right.
And Florida is very pro solar. In fact, it's frankly leading the nation at this point in solar expansion.
Right.
Thank you.
Christy?
Since you have string inverters instead of micro inverters, if one panel gets shaded, all the ones on the string get shut off. Is the fence going to shade any of it at any time?
Hmm.
No.
Hmm.
The fence will be installed far enough away that it will not impede any of the solar panels from operating fully. Russ?
Carol Armel had a question that I said I would pass on. Her question was, what if there's some damage to the building or grounds during installation? How would that be covered?
Well, I am almost 100% certain that Optimus Solar carries property and liability and workers' comp coverage, or they would not have passed and be selected by the Lake Sumter Co-op as the installing company for the co-op. I'm sure that is one of the specifications, but we will also ask Optimus Solar to provide us with a record of their insurance coverage.
That would be good.
Yes. Henry?
Is it possible that one of the panels would go bad sometimes during this useful life?
It's possible.
And yeah,
And if it's in the first 10 years, then Optimus Solar is responsible for it under the warranty. After that, it would be our responsibility. But these solar panels, my reading has told me that they hold up very well. They've been around now a long time.
yeah. Another question, if I understood you correctly, after full 25 years, our net profit, so to speak, would be $100,000 roughly?
Close to $100,000, correct.
And the initial $50,000 investment has been already taken out, right?
Correct.
And then at that time, if we wanted to do it again, we would have to spend another $50,000 to $100,000 to do it again.
Yeah, if the panels, now the infrastructure would not need to be replaced unless for some reason it had become outdated or damaged, just the solar panels.
It's
And
also,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I just want to clarify, to say that then you would have to spend at least $50,000 and, all costs being the same except for inflation, so that your net profit at that point goes down to $50,000.
Yeah, but then you have the next 25 years
Right.
and you get to bank all of it.
Yeah, it's a cycle that you have to go through.
It is. It
Mhm.
is.
Do you think that in 25 years that technology will have advanced, that our solar panels, I know this is speculation, our panels would be obsolete or something that's not used anymore?
Henry, I really don't know. All I can hope is that solar continues to be the way this country is going, along with other forms of conservation energy.
Okay, thank you.
Diana? You're
Here,
muted.
Diana.
Thank you. About this 25 years, I mean, I'm sure that they don't all just stop working after 25 years. Is that the minimum amount of time that they're good? And if so, what is the possible lifespan of these panels?
Diana, I am told that that is the average useful life
Okay,
of a
average.
panel.
Okay,
So some might go a little sooner, some might last a little longer. You just don't know. It's a mechanical thing.
all right. So that's an average. That's all I was asking. It's not a minimum or a maximum or anything. It's an average.
No, no, they don't just turn off. You're right.
And so some of them might have to be replaced, say, after 20 years, or after 20 years, say, a bunch of them might go each year or whatever.
That is a possibility, but it is not a strong likelihood because this technology has been around now for probably 20 plus years, and improvements are being made all the time.
Diana, I'd like to say something. I certainly hope that I'm around to tell you whether those panels are going to fail in 10 years.
I don't think I'll be around either. I'm just asking on behalf of future generations.
John Landers, I see you down there. You'll have to unmute if you can, John. No, we're not hearing you yet. And I think you froze. I think we'll come back to John while he tries to correct the technical difficulty. Is there anyone else who I might? Yes, Christy.
Where are we going to get this $500 a month?
Oh, you want to know how we're going to pay for it?
That's a question, yes.
Very good.
Plus the insurance.
Well, let me start out by giving you the good news. And the good news is that one of our very generous members has already agreed to donate $5,000 toward this solar project. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that into a solar fund that can only be used, and we will begin paying monthly payments out of that solar fund. if we are fortunate enough to have other members who decide that they'd like to contribute toward it, we may not end up having to pay for it out of our operating cash flows. But if we did, I'm telling you, we can afford $500 a month. Jane.
Barbara Morrow says in her chat that she'd like to speak.
Oh, yeah. All right. And John, we're going to get back to you now that you've got your technical difficulties corrected, okay? So give us one moment. Barbara, can you unmute?
I can unmute. Actually, I think Jane is looking at what I had put up a little higher up there, and I've already said my piece. I will say though about this, whether or not they last 25 years. Again, I'm no expert, and it's possible a panel could go out, so to speak. But I think more typically over time, they become less efficient. And I don't know at what point you decide it's so inefficient, it should be replaced. Also, I'm guessing technology will evolve, although I think that's happening more in the battery arena than in the solar panel arena. Whether there'll be something better in 25 years, there's a very good chance there will be, but that doesn't mean that what we have won't work. And maybe after 25 years, we take a different path. And Russ and I are both going to be around to make those decisions at that time.
I'm with you, Barbara.
All right. Let's get John. John, can we hear you now?
Yes, my question was answered. However, my question was, can we afford the monthly payment? And you already answered that. So
yes,
I certainly appreciate that. And I've been considering solar for my home, and I talked to Ben Pollan and Optimus Energy, but it's a matter of finances. But I would like to go with him, and he recently sent me another email, and I may still try to go, but we'll see what happens.
very good. Well, good luck to you, John.
Thank you.
Christy, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we put solar on my mom's home and it cost us about half of what we paid back in 2015 on our house up in Michigan. So prices are dropping and that's a good thing. And I wanted to know how many kilowatt hours you ended up with.
24.
I mean,
Yeah, 24 kilowatts.
24 is what the
After
final,
the upgrade.
Yes.
the upgrade.
That's the size of the system. And as you know, Christy, you don't want to oversize the system because if you end up generating consistently more energy than you're using, then you have suddenly gone into competition with Duke Energy, and that's a no-no.
Yeah, well, that's one thing. Duke Energy, like you say, it's 1 for 1. And we're on SACO here, the Sumter Electric Company, and we get less than 1 for 1 when
Yeah.
we generate more.
Right,
So that's good that Duke's doing that.
absolutely. I can't see everybody, maybe on page 2. Jane Hepting, thank you for your nice comment, Jane. And somebody else had to leave but said they voted in favor of it. So if we have answered everybody's pressing questions, and please let me know if we have, we would like to try a new feature on Zoom tonight. And it's called Zoom polling, which allows us to vote right here and right now, and Zoom will track everybody's yay or nay vote. So we're heading into a new era of technology. at UUCLC. And Val, I think you have the polling questions available.
Right. I'll put those
Okay.
up. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
there are two questions because some of you are on a screen with just one person and some of you are on a screen with two people. We had to have two questions. So the first one is if you're a single person on your screen, well, whether you're single or double, it says, do you approve the UUCLC solar installation proposal? And you either vote yes or no. Some of you have already voted. The second question is to take care of households where there are two people attending this meeting. If there's only one person, then your answer should be not applicable. You have to answer either yes, no, or not applicable before we can vote. So go ahead and click on your vote. And up at the top tells me right now we have 12 of 29 have voted. So we still have some to go.
Don't forget to submit bottom.
We're up to 18 of 29. And I guess it's 29 because it won't let me vote. Because I'm the host, I don't get to vote, but Christina, my vote is yes.
Okay. And we've already had two people leave the meeting who chatted to me that they are voting yes.
Yes.
Has everyone been able to vote in the chat, on the screen? Is there anyone who's having difficulty?
I'm not sure my vote was recorded. I'm a co-host. Val, do you know if that has the same impact?
Did you click submit?
I don't have submit at the bottom. I have end polling.
Oh, then yours probably did. That's what's on mine as well.
Yeah, I didn't want to click that because it's too early,
Right.
but I would vote yes.
Okay, we still have 4 people who haven't voted. I wasn't sure if there's anybody who is only on a phone. I think everybody had a link. So there are 4 people whose pictures we can't see, but I'm assuming they can, that they see the poll and can vote.
How do we know that the second person in our household voted? If it's been recorded?
It'll be recorded if you answer question number 2, either yes
So
or no.
I did, and I submitted it. But there's no confirmation anywhere on our screen.
No, because Zoom handles the polling by the number of screens that are active. But we will add together the yeses from question 1 and the yeses from question 2.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Well, I'm thinking people might have to scroll down to hit the submit button. You can't vote, your vote won't be counted unless you hit submit.
Okay, we still have 3. Does anyone not think it hasn't finished voting yet for sure? Or does everybody feel like they finished voting?
Barbara wants to know, Audrey is on phone only and she wonders if she was able to vote.
No, if you're on phone only, you don't see the poll. I
Okay.
assume because, well, I don't know.
Audrey?
Someone,
I think Audrey got online because when I called
Audrey's
her,
online, I see her.
okay.
Audrey, did you vote? Can you unmute? Tell me if you voted.
And then Dawn is also
Dawn.
raising her hand.
Right, Dawn.
I'm on. phone
Yeah,
only,
okay.
and I
Okay.
got to vote.
Audrey, did you vote?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, good.
And do you have Dawn who said that she votes yes?
Yeah, I voted, but it let me vote on my phone. It came up just like you said, so I didn't have any problem voting on phone.
Great.
Yeah, if you're on a smartphone, that you can do that. If you're not on a smartphone, you only
Okay.
hear. You
Oh,
can't.
gotcha. Okay.
And what about Carol Armel? Is her
Carol
vote-
Armel casts her vote,
I'm
yes.
gonna leave now.
Hey, Audrey, thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay,
Audrey.
bye.
And whoever has a barking dog in the background should mute.
Okay.
There you go.
So,
Well,
Any
so
more left?
we have 34 yeses and 1 no.
Do you have both of the Pixleys?
Oh, now we have 26 of 26. So we have 25 yes and 9 no. I mean, 25 plus 9, 34 yeses and 1 no.
Okay.
And since everyone has now voted according to Zoom, I'm going to end the polling and
Okay.
then I'll share the results.
How
Okay.
does that, Val, how does that compute for having to have 40 people here for a quorum? It doesn't come up to 40.
No, technically, Henry, a quorum for us based on our membership is actually 35. Russ asked to have 40 because he wanted to make sure we met the minimum quorum. Then we need to have 2/3 of the quorum who votes have to vote in favor in order for the proposal to be accepted. That has occurred.
So we did have 35?
Yes.
Yes, because some people gave her their vote that aren't included in the poll.
right,
They had to leave.
we're good. Mhm.
Okay, so I'll stop that.
Yes,
Okay, we did it.
all right, yes, we did. Thank you, everybody. That was terrific, and I can't wait. Can't wait for it all to begin.
For your support and your attention, really. I know it was at times dry, but you were a great audience.
Christina, you and your committee are totally awesome. You have, I mean, your knowledge is amazing. And I think you just done a fabulous job. So don't say the presentation was boring. I mean, look at all the boring stuff you've gone through.
No, the presentation was thorough, and we expect nothing less from Christina, of course.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely well done. Thank you, Christina.
Will we have to drape
much.
masks on the panels? Since it's clean energy,
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to check with Optimus Solar on that.
it'd be a nice look though.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and also, I don't want to forget to thank the others who were involved in this, especially Barbara Morrow, who has put in a lot of time and effort and deserves our thanks as well. And the other people also who have contributed, and that including Carl Skiles, who's always very thorough and gives us lots of stuff, lots of challenges, and Betty Emery. And Betty, we will have a charger for automobiles some way or other at our facility. I should explain that was Ben had originally proposed to throw in a charger for automobiles, but that got discarded as we bargained. But we will do that. We will have one. So
Sylvia has a question.
Sylvia.
Yes, I do. I've been on many committees all through my 83 years, and I've been a Unitarian since I was 18. And I am so impressed with the questions that are being asked and with the research that was done. I've never been on a committee that was that thorough. And I just am blown out of my mind. It's just wonderful that we can meet like this, that we have a quorum, it's just absolutely wonderful. I just wish I could gather up enough money to help out and match that. Is it $5,000 that they?
Yeah, 5,000.
I wish I could match it.
Anytime you're ready, Sylvia.
Well, my first 5,000 that comes in unsolicited, that'll go to that project.
All right, thanks. And thank you for everything, everybody, and those who attended. And I want to end our time together by extinguishing our chalice. And we're going forward with the knowledge that we showed up and that we did and acted as faithful stewards of our church, our building, and our grounds. And it's going to be beautiful, folks. It really will be. Thank you, everybody, and good night.